What's up everybody on the internet? My name is Jace, also known as Locked In. If this is the first time you've come across this face on the internet, let me just first say welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to the first installment on a lot of videos on this guy back here behind me. You might be asking, the heck's wrong with it? Well, let me show you right here. Yeah, safe to say, we got in a little bit of a fender bender with a sandrail that was just going too fast, put us in the position that we are today.
Well, no fucking shit.
So what this video is going to be is an intro to everything that we're going to be doing to get this thing back together, and a little bit of a secret here, ready for King of the Hammers 2025. Yeah, you might be asking yourself, 2025? What happened to 2024? I will tell you, I will be out in the desert for King of the Hammers 2024, testing this thing out and putting it through the ringers. The main goal is to have this thing rolling across the starting line for 2025 in the 4800 Legends class. Alright, so bam, here we are. This is our list that we're going to be going off of for this episode and all the episodes to come. This list will change a lot, but currently right now we have ASAP, which is everything going to be done in this episode, KOH 2024, which is our deadline to be able to go have a good time, test the vehicle out, and parade around a little bit for the locals. And then it brings us to KOH 2025. This is the big one. This is when we got to be race ready to be able to run the 4800 Legends class. This section of the list is going to evolve a lot. We have very little of what actually needs to go on for the next year before we get race ready. Talking about what's going to go on in this episode, we've got removing the bent parts and bending the frame back or rebuilding it completely. What that basically means is I've got to be able to get everything torn down to the frame so I know how far out of whack everything is to decide if we're going to be able to bend everything back in place or if we're going to rebuild it completely. Which, if we're going the bending route, I've got some really cool ideas based around turning my semi-truck into a custom frame table. So if we go that route, might be something cool to check out. To bring me on to the next point of what's going to go on this episode is we're going to be relocating the radiator to the back. And as a matter of fact, here it is. We're removing that mechanical fan in the engine bay and moving everything back with a fresh new radiator with built-in electric fans. Let me go set this down. What the rear radiator is going to do for us is not only remove some of the weight from up front, but also give us some more space up front to change some parts that are going to benefit us a lot. That brings me to relocating the winch. One of the things that I want to put in that void where the radiator used to be is the winch behind the grill. That's going to remove a lot of our weight back from the front tires and let us float through the whoops a lot better. Talking about floating through the whoops, more upward travel in the rear is a must. Currently right now, I've got enough upward travel to have a good time, but not enough to be competitive for the 4800 class. A lot of the cars out there used to be 4400 class cars, and frankly, on money and engineering, we're currently outgunned. But nothing beats that eyeball engineering, baby. Moving forward, talking more about the rear end, we need to finish the rear cage. That means tying everything in so we don't have that giant void where the tailgate used to be. And that also comes to rebuilding the main cage. Currently right now, I only am running a body mounted cage, which number one is not safe and number two is not even allowed in King of the Hammers to be able to race. So that needs to be done not only for my safety, but to meet the race standards. Another one is replacing the steering wheel, which goes without a talking point. My steering wheel is shot. So if anybody knows any good steering wheel companies out there or anybody wants to sponsor the rig, hit me up. These last two go hand in hand. No more front fenders, and we're cutting the back. What that means is we're removing the front fenders and going full tubing from the cage all the way through to the front bumper, and it also means that we're gonna bobtail the rear end. That was a really big decision for me because I really wanted to keep the Jeep looking like a Jeep, but I realized recently that I wanna be more competitive and go function over form on this rig. Now, on to race day, KOH 2025. This list is gonna evolve over a long period of time. Over the next year, you're gonna see this list take on 15 different renditions. But currently we have some of the most important stuff, such as Mo Power Baby.
Can I get a Mo Power Baby? A Mo Power Baby! Testify!
Currently, that stock 5.3 liter Vortec is just not enough for me. Number 2 is seats, number 3 is gas tank, and number 4 is a really big one that I hope I can swing over here to 2024 KOH, but I'm being a little realistic with my work schedule, and that is firewall the cab. What that basically means is everything behind the rear seats is going to get a solid firewall that not only we could use to protect the driver and passenger, but also eventually give me the ability to run some sealed doors up to the cab and have it sealed like we had it as a full cab Jeep before. One big thing that I've always said about building this Jeep is I don't want it to be a race-only vehicle. If I want a race-only vehicle, I will build a tube chassis buggy. But what we want is the best of every world to where I can go out, destroy some 4800 classes, and then still hit Starbucks on the way home. Now it's currently 11:43 at night. So what I'm gonna do is call it quits for the night and see you guys in the morning like this. And just like that, we're back working on the Jupe Strangler. I've got a couple hours this morning before I gotta go into work. So today we're gonna remove the winch, drain the radiator, and get the transcooler disconnected so we could take apart the whole front half of this Jeep. Let's get started. First thing I decided to go with was removing all 4 of the winch plate bolts. Removing the winch will just make it a lot easier to get to all the rest of the components like the radiator and all of the wiring inside the grille. Because of the bent frame, some of them took a little bit more persuasion than the others, but ultimately we removed them all and got them out of the way. So luckily I had this winch disconnected for a while now because of the fact that I had to redo some of the wiring. So I just got to remove some of the ties to the front grille and the zip ties to the frame that I was holding the wires up with, and the front winch should be able to come right off. If you watch closely, you could actually see how much the suspension decompresses when I remove the winch. I'm definitely going to opt for a synthetic winch line in the near future. All right, with the winch out of the way, we're starting to really see the first signs of the real extent of the damage that's been done. You can see that passenger side frame rail really tweaked. Cross member is completely toast, which all of this was going to go away anyways, but we're definitely going to have to chop it at least to right here where we plated this section of the frame rail for the bump stops. And we'll have to see what state the frame is actually in. But first, everything on the front has to come off the Jeep, so we're going to start with the radiator down there, get it drained, get it removed, and detach the transcooler so that we can remove the radiator from the front.
Well, that went as well as could be expected, didn't it? Hmm?
Well, that kind of went not as good as I expected. right now's the point when I start to realize how out of whack everything is, because it was really difficult to even remove the plugs because the radiator itself was pinching all of the plugs into the grill itself. Well, looks like another casualty of war. That's broken. We're gonna have to replace at least one of these headlight buckets. Unless I could get that fixed, but that's a slim chance. Might be able to get the welder out and weld a bracket back on. But we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Well, as you can see, I got everything off the front, so this is going to be a stopping point for me since I got to get off to work. But for you, it's going to feel like 2 seconds. So I'll see you like this. And just like that, we are back. It's a fresh new day, and we are back working on the good old Jupe Strangler back here. And the first thing I wanted to point out is now that we're able to see all the damage up close without anything on our way, starting to kind of assess what the major issues is. One of the biggest ones is this big crack right on the frame, heading down to this old bolt hole that I used to have something attached to. And you can clearly see how badly it's bent after the shock tower here, which means no matter what, we're gonna have to do some cutting of the frame. What my plan is to go a little bit at a time and remove as little as possible. That way I can see how much I can salvage to not only bring our costs down, but also a lot of the work so that we might be able to still use the Jeep for the rest of the season before King of the Hammers this year. So first things first, we need to get this whole cross member removed because that's what I believe is kind of holding everything tweaked at the moment. And I think we're gonna start with using the Sawzall and everything to try to keep it as clean as possible. But if that doesn't work, we're gonna break out the plasma. Let's get started. We might have to switch to the plasma, but we're gonna give it one more shot. Ah! Nope. That's it. It's plasma time. And that's how to destroy a Jeep CJ7 and turn it into a Jeep Strangler. You know, I'm definitely glad I picked up this little plasma cutter off of Amazon a little while ago, because that is some thick cuts right there for a cheapy little Amazon plasma cutter. Definitely saved me a lot of time. We got quite a bit of cleanup, but it all kind of depends on if we're keeping these frame rails or if we're going to be cutting them back even farther. Now that we're able to stand back and kind of look, you can kind of see now how far off these two frame rails are. That one on the left side, you can see is way higher than this one. This one's almost pointing down and that one's pointing up. So this is where we're going to have to decide if this seems salvageable or if we're going to just go tubing all the way forward. And some people might be asking why I would even try to salvage this frame. Really, it's just for money and for the fact that I got the shock towers already all figured out. And the fact of the matter is, it is the middle of the season, so I don't want to be without a rig for the entire season just because I want to rebuild everything with tubing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is going to get a full cage front end, but I really do want to see if I can get by with getting everything back into place. As you can see, this shock tower is the main concern. It has been pushed back quite a bit, as you can see how it's starting to hit the air cleaner assembly. All right, so we made a lot of headway on the Jeep, and I've been editing this video as I go along since I'm kind of new to this YouTube stuff. And what I'm gonna do is make this video into a two-parter. We got everything taken apart to the point where I can start making a plan if I want to repair what we have here or if I want to cut everything off and completely start new. So what I'm gonna say for now, if you like this content, definitely leave a like. If you hate it, please leave me a dislike, because I could definitely use that information to make future content. And if you really like it, please do drop a comment, subscribe, anything you can to boost this post, because I'm definitely new to this YouTube stuff and I want to have everybody's input on what direction this channel should definitely go. As for now, what you can expect is weekly, if not more often, videos on this thing, because I really got to get it back together since we are in the middle of the desert season and King of the Hammers is coming up faster than I can imagine. But for now, all I can say is hopefully I'll see you on the next one.
Did you wash your ass today?